Hi, it's Coach Mo, soul-powered career coach. One day, when I was vice president of a health system, I walked into my standing meeting and my boss wasn't there for the standing meeting. Now, granted, both he and I absolutely hated the fact that we had a standing meeting on Monday morning. After about 30 minutes of waiting for him to show up, his admin came over and said, he's not going to be available. So you guys are going to have to either reschedule, just do your meeting next Monday. As I'm walking out to go then see one of my physicians who I was responsible for, I saw him behind his door, hiding. I know, it's crazy. This is part of Bad Boss Chronicles. Welcome to your time to tell us your Bad Boss Chronicles. Now, I got to tell you, when you report to someone and they hide behind a door, pretending they're not there, instead of really canceling the meeting, what? Look, I'm going to tell you this. As a woman who had a very successful professional career, 30 years of moving up the ladder, finally in my top dream job as a chief operating officer, I got to tell you, I lived through the Bad Boss Chronicles, and now this is going to be a thing that I'm going to be talking about regularly. You have the opportunity to tell me more about your Bad Boss Chronicles, and perhaps I'll talk about your Bad Boss Chronicles and share what to do about it in future episodes. I had a bad boss episode where my boss, a female, look, not all females are awesome because they're trying to mimic their male counterparts in how to play the power game. It doesn't work for women. By the way, maybe you've noticed it. Women have to be soul-powered and soul-centered in order to be in our power. So I had this boss who, in the middle of a client meeting, insulted me for talking too much. Like, in a meeting with a big client, she's insulting me. I felt like crap. I felt like crawling under the table. I was so surprised. I'm like, really? Now you're going to insult me? We couldn't take it offline? Oh, I could go on and on. Like the time that I was in charge in the offices, in the office space, chief operating officer, one of my responsibilities was to make sure that the offices and who was sitting in them was done right. So I was a decision maker. My two colleague physician partners had corner offices. I had one along the row, and someone else along the row left to go work in another division. So I had a bigger office available to me along the row. So it was corner, me, empty, corner. I decided to move into the next office next to me, which was bigger, still not a corner office though. And one of my colleagues decided that she wanted to take issue with me deciding that I could move my office right next door. While she's in a corner office, she would have no interest in having either one of those offices. But she took it as an opportunity to ride her flag up one side and down the other, helping me feel crappy, really trying to get me sliced open and bleeding all over the place. And you know what? As I sat there taking her wrath, totally irrational, totally a wacko, I'm going to say that. I'm sitting there, my neck is getting red, my face is getting red. And you know what? I sort of did feel like punching her. I knew I couldn't. I was waiting for her to stop with her bullshit. Bad Boss Chronicles. She wasn't even a boss. But since she was a physician and I'm a nurse executive, she sort of had that way of saying, I'm a physician, you're only a lowly nurse. I'm going to tell you this. I suffered and moved through more Bad Boss Chronicles than I care to admit, but I'm going to tell you some more of the stories. And here's one thing that will help you navigate these episodes in your career is to feel awesome inside no matter what is going on the outside. To be soul-centered. I talk about soul power all the time because it's the secret place for us to feel awesome no matter what's going on out there. And the more awesome you feel inside, the less likely you're going to have someone pecking at you, because when you feel awesome, the bullies know it and they won't come knocking as much. So your best way to avoid the Bad Boss Chronicles is to feel awesome about yourself, because not only are you then unrattleable, but you're also going to take your gifts and talents elsewhere when you do have this type of scenario. And you know what? It was about a year later that I exited that organization because this person couldn't stop pecking at me. And it came to a point where I was just like over and out. Luckily for me, I was at a place in my career where I could make that independent decision. I had worked my way up the ladder to such a level that I had freedom and independence. That may not be your situation, but I'm going to say this to you. When you build your own sense of self, you become less dependent on all of that outside noise, and you know from the internal voice, that soul guidance system, when it's time to move on. And understand how to navigate the organization that you're in order to not have that happen again. There's some complexities with that, and we coach on this all the time with our clients. Matter of fact, we have people in our top tier executive coaching program right now who are dealing with just this thing. Why? Because the universe wants you to keep growing. So you're going to have some detractors and obstacles and challenges. That's why I want to talk about your Bad Boss Chronicles. Comment below or click the link to fill in some information so that we can talk to you and talk further about your Bad Boss Chronicles and what to specifically do to navigate that tough terrain of what it's like to be a professional woman, moving up, moving on, and showing her worth. I'd love to hear more from you about your Bad Boss Chronicles, and hopefully you can relate to my Bad Boss Chronicles. These were just a few. This is the arena that we are in as professional women, so you have to learn how to be your awesomest, most soul-powered self in order to minimize it and be able to handle these things. Either click the link below or let us know in the comments about your Bad Boss Chronicles. I can't wait to dive in and hear what you got to say.